Last week, the truckers tackled the challenging unknown of the new NASCAR layout of the Daytona Road Course, with Bradley Hawley running away with the win over a struggling Daniel Knight, further extending his points lead into this, the final round of the season. Will Hawley or Knight conquer the return to an oval? Is Bradley Hawley's points gap too much of a hill to climb for Daniel Knight? Will the rest of the field upset the title fight? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch the season finale of the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series, sponsored by WEBB Hearing Centers, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Adam Lindgren, and joining me in the booth is Chris Phoebe. Our director tonight will be Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by the great Dougie Beard. Formerly known as Gateway Motorsports Park, this oval is legendary among IndyCar fans, but oval fans of all stripes are beginning to love it in recent years, especially here on iRacing. To find out why, let's take you down to our track guide.
Worldwide Technology Raceway, a speedway born out of the speedway boom of the 90s. More colloquially known as Gateway, the track sits in Madison, Illinois, just on the other side of the mighty Mississippi, from St. Louis and its famous arch. And like that arch, Gateway has become a passage to the western United States for many series calendars. The facility itself opened in 1967 for drag racing, but the changes started in the mid-90s when the land was raised and the rebuilding began. As part of the rebuilding, a 1.6-mile road course was built inside and using part of the 1.25-mile track we are here for today. Its egg-shaped and differing ends in both radius and banking is a challenge for anyone trying to set up a car here. Even though the banking itself isn't too different, 11 degrees in 1 and 2 and 9 degrees in 3 and 4, the radius of 3 and 4 is much wider, so you carry a lot of speed down that front straightaway, which has led to some drama and classic finishes over the years in iRacing and on the real-life track. IndyCar returned here in 2017 after 14 years away, and in a short amount of time has become a coveted spot on that schedule. The NASCAR trucks also make a regular trip here every single year. ARCA is more off and on, and we'll sometimes get some late model and super late model action here with more regional series. Now, with downtown St. Louis and the Gateway Arch as a backdrop, it's getting time to drop the green flag at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Saw a couple laps here around Worldwide Technology Raceway and a couple of details, but to share some more details and interesting facts about this place and its surrounding area, Chris Phoebe, why don't you talk to us about it?
Well, here at Worldwide Technology Raceway, we are in the shadow of the legendary St. Louis Arch, approximately 7 minutes away driving distance if you're interested. This track is asymmetrical in the corners with a tighter radius in 1 and 2 than 3 and 4. I've been told that it mimics New Hampshire in 1 and 2 and Phoenix in 3 and 4. So this racetrack will be a technical challenge for these drivers. I look for it to be somewhat of a one-group track, and with the weather conditions being pretty spicy out there today, these drivers are going to be dealing with a hot, slick track that's going to make conditions extra treacherous.
And one thing that's not treacherous is our series sponsor, and that is WEBB Hearing Centers. They are family owned and operated since 1972, and they have top quality hearing aids and service in Arizona. Visit them today at webbhearingcenters.com. That is web with 2 B's, hearingcenters.com. And Chris, our league sponsor, is also another great company. Our league sponsor today is the ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Visit thebuttkicker.com today to view their full line of products. We also have a championship to talk about, obviously, and that's going to start off with our Drivers' Championship. That is Bradley Hawley with 18 points currently over Daniel Knight going into the season finale. So basically, Daniel Knight has to win and Bradley has to wreck out in order for Daniel Knight to take this championship, but is not yet decided, so that possibility is still there. Thomas Sink is quite a bit too far out of it to take over either for Daniel Knight or for Bradley Hawley, so third will be the highest he can go. Brendan Chatley being 20 points behind is pretty much out of the picture as well, with Tristan Callahan 81 points behind of the leader. He's probably going to be satisfied sitting there in the 5th position. So we're also going to take a look at the Teams Championship today. And the Teams Championship is currently being led by the Waterbach Jelly Rolls Racing folks. They're 65 points out of Back Row Racing, so they're definitely going to take that championship. But the question is, who's going to get second place? Because between Waterbach Back Row Racing and Riding Shotgun Rangers is only 4 points, and they are very tight together. Car Ramrod and Rescue Racing Camo Rescue are the last on the leaderboard, and they're probably solidified into their own spots today. So practice still going on here. 3 minutes left of practice to go, and this track is slick. Let's take a look at those temperatures out there on track today. It has gone down a little bit since the start of practice. About 118 degrees Fahrenheit on the track right now, 48 degrees Celsius as well. So it's very, very toasty out there. 80 degrees track temp with probably, yeah, decent humidity of 51%. So it's pretty miserable out there on track right now, Chris.
That's right. We've gained or lost a couple degrees, so you almost think 118 degrees isn't a good thing. Oh, 117. It's dropping as we watch it, Adam.
Yeah, and that's due to the clouds coming over the track, so that's going to be very interesting, especially as we go into qualifying to see how they're going to be able to manage this track temperature. But one of the things we've been seeing is that they're really struggling with tight truck as they go through turn 4.
That's right. Turn 4 is definitely a challenging spot on this track because with the walls on both sides of the track, turn 4, really narrows up once you get to that straightaway.
It definitely does. And one other thing we want to mention before we get underway today is that if you're looking to sponsor a series like this one or many of the others that we have going on, GSRC has available advertising options for you. This channel boasts over 1 million global monthly impressions, and our branding opportunities include official series sponsorships, ad reads like the ones we just did, race awards, and more. Follow the link in the description of the YouTube video to learn more. Trust me, it's awesome to go on board with GSRC, and they support your company very well, so we look forward to having you guys join us. All right, 1 minute left in practice, and right now Thomas Sink currently holds the lead over Bradley Holly by couple of 1,000ths there. Daniel Knight about 2/10 off, but here's the interesting thing, Chris. These times were set a while ago, over half an hour ago for these guys, so the track temperature has definitely increased over that time and has cut down their time significantly.
Yeah, that's one thing. A cooler track is going to be a faster track. When the track gets hotter, the tires stick more, which means the trucks may handle a little bit better. In theory, they don't because of course, all the oils and stuff come to the surface and makes it a little bit slicker. But when the track's hotter, you have more adhesion to the track, which is more wear or more friction, and friction loses you speed.
All right, so you may get a fairly quick qualifying time on your first flying lap, but then it's going to bleed off because especially with how heavy these NASCAR vehicles are, they tend to generate a lot of heat into the tires, and the trouble these drivers tend to have over these long runs is that right front tire tends to start to break away. So as we close in off of practice, we're looking down that front straight, and you notice that safer barrier that was added a couple of years ago, that really does affect their exit capabilities coming off of turn 4, and that just a couple of inches there can make a big difference when it comes to exiting that corner.
Yeah, as much of a positive as the safer barrier has added to the world of racing, and it's a huge safety thing that we're all appreciative to have, it does take away all that much more room of racing space on the track.
So not much of a temperature difference between practice and qualifying, still 117 degrees. And it looks like Nicholas Hunter and Colton Lane and Austin Hunter will be our first drivers off of pit lane with John LaBeouf as well. So not much of a change in the wind either. So things are going to be very toasty out there for these drivers, but I think Colton Lane will be our first driver across the line to start a time. He's currently now on the backstretch going into 3 and 4.
Yeah, I think unless you can get really lucky and catch a cloud out on the track, you're going to want to get your time in as early as possible because that's less time that track's just sitting there baking in the sun.
One driver that might take the risk is Bradley Holly. He's been known to get very good qualifying times, so he probably thinks that those 2/10 that he had on Daniel Knight might be 2/10 he has on the rest of the field. So we see there Colton Lane going a little bit high through 1 and 2, and that is not going to end well. He hits the outside wall, and that means that lap will not count. He'll only be able to get 1 lap in qualifying today. And Daniel Knight looks like he has a similar problem. He's abandoning his first lap, but Nicholas Schwartz is going to start his first lap there. and get underway. So it looks like a lot of people really starting to struggle with those moments there. But Austin Hunter, coming off of turn 4, will set our first representative time, and it's going to be a 34.856, and that will put him up towards on the top of the board. But Thomas Sink immediately jumps that by 0.3 with a 34.211.
Yeah, you can see this track is we've talked about how challenging it is, but these drivers, some of them are really struggling just to get a lap in qualifying with the combination of the loose setup, the hot slick track, and just how challenging turn 4 is here.
This is Colton Lane restarting that lap. He's back on there, but look how loose he gets through 1 and 2. Here's Austin Hunter putting in his second time. He's going to come across the line, and it is an improvement. Interesting to note that as we go forward. Nicholas Hunter crosses the line as well. He goes a little bit slower, so it's definitely varying as far as which lap is faster for these guys. Doug Evans a little bit slower as well.
Yeah, I expect most of these guys will probably have slower second laps just because of the current track conditions.
Aaron Hilton crossing the line. I believe he's starting his first flying lap. Colton Lane crosses the line and goes 5th fastest with that one lap that he's able to put in. So good for him to get a time. And Daniel Knight, though, up to pole currently. He takes another 2 1,000ths off of Thomas Sink, as Nicholas Hunter looks like he's headed back into the pits after his qualifying runs. Brendan Chatley next up. Chatley exits 4 and gets back onto the front stretch here. He's going to cross the line. It's going to be a 34.359, so only good enough for 6th at the moment, but that's a pretty decent qualifying for him. He goes through 1 and 2. And you can see how hard it is to get down there to the apex, as it looks like there's not a lot of rubber down there at the bottom of the track right now.
Yeah, and it looks like Chatley maybe gave up something on the exit of turn 4. It looks like he got a little bit uncomfortable getting close to the wall and put a little bit of extra wheel on it, and that probably scrubbed off a little speed, as it looks like Bradley Holly's now taken to the track.
Yep, he is just starting his lap now, so we'll catch up with him as he finishes it. Tristan Callahan, though, he's been quick in qualifying multiple times in the past. His fastest lap right now, 35 flat. He gets a 34.383, and that's going to be good enough to put him up towards 7th place, but not the greatest qualifying for him right now. Paul Johnson, a 34.4, good enough for 8th spot. Mark Kalin coming across the line to start his flying laps, with Bradley Holly exiting turn 4 right now. Let's see what our championship leader can do. Crosses the line, and it's a 34.128. That will put him on pole. That is 6 1,000ths over, 6 100ths rather, over Daniel Knight. So that does put him on provisional pole. He's got nothing to lose on this second lap, so he's definitely going to string it all out there. But my guess is that first lap's going to stick as his fastest.
And look at how close this field is, Adam. We have 20 drivers, just about 8/10 separating them.
Very, very tight out here. These track temperatures really keeping them honest. It has not wavered at all. Still 117 degrees as Bradley Holly crosses the line. It is a little bit slower. If he would have qualified with that time, he would have lined up 2nd. So his first time, very good. That will put him on pole unless Adam Young can pull something special out of the box. But he does a 34.49, good enough for 14th place. Paul Johnson abandons his lap. So Adam Young, the last driver out there circling at the moment, and I don't believe I'm doing math in my head instantaneously. It's kind of hard. I don't believe that he's going to be able to cross the line one more time. We'll keep our eyes on him, though, because we always want to be hopeful, folks. But the clock hits 0, and that's going to take him off track, and that leads us to our grid today. And on pole for the season finale, it's Bradley Holly, first place in the championship, lining up next to his championship rival, Daniel Knight, in 2nd. 3rd place in the championship goes to 3rd place on track, Thomas Sink. And then we get Doug Evans starting off in the 4th spot. Nicholas Schwartz with a good qualifying in 5th, next to Colton Lane in 6th. Row 4 is going to go to Brendan Chatley and Tristan Callahan, starting off 8th today. Then we have Paul Johnson and Charles Sumner rounding out the top 10.
Just outside of the top 10 is Mark Kalin in the 62 truck, starting 11th with Brett Adams to his outside. Row number 7 is going to be Matthew Aubrey and then Adam Young on the outside of him. Row number 8 is going to see Adam Zemke in 15th with Darren Hilton lining up 16th on the grid, with Adam Shane and Nicholas Hunter composing row 9. Closing out the top 20 is going to be Brandon Walter in the 99 and then Austin Hunter starting 20th. Just outside of the top 20 will be John LaBaff in the 911 and Jose Medina in the 24, William Lee not taking a time.
So things are going to get very interesting out here, Chris, as all of the practice starts that we saw today during practice had a lot of trouble coming off of turn 4 in the pack. Are you expecting to see the same kind of troubles on the first lap today?
Yeah, turn 4 is definitely going to be trouble for these guys on the starts with everybody so bunched up together, and just how narrow this front straightaway is really a challenge for these drivers, as we've seen in both real life and here in the iRacing service. So I expect the starts to maybe be a little bit hairy here today.
Yeah, so we are just about to get ready, going underway. We have the Mustang pace car that's going to join us today for the season finale of the PRL NASCAR Truck Series here on GSRC. And it is going to be that beautiful blue North Star title truck of Bradley Holly on the pole. He's got Daniel Knight to his outside. And like you said, it's going to be a one-lane race most likely today. So who's got the advantage going into one if they're side by side?
I think it's got to be Bradley Holly on the inside line. That's going to be just about where they want to be, and really he has the ability to put the truck where he wants it, and I think that's going to help him out a lot.
It definitely will. So as they get ready to get going here, it will be Daniel Knight lined up in that truck on the outside. The 48 of Thomas Sink, his teammates with Bradley Holly, so expect them to stick right together as they get ready to start this race. All right, how many cautions do you think over under today, Chris?
Hoping for under 4.
All right, I was going to say that I think that it'd be great if we got 2 or less today. 1 would probably be just about right to get these guys going. But that being said, I love myself some tire strategy, so it'll be interesting to see where those cautions fall. But it is going to be Bradley Holly leading them to the line. Daniel Knight on the outside. Thomas Sink tucked in behind Daniel Knight. And here we go. The pace car is off. Bradley Holly now controls the field. He's going to wait quite a bit. Wait until that restart zone to get going. And now he gets going and gets a pretty decent jump. A little bit of wheel spin there for Bradley Holly on the inside, but he's got a nose over Daniel Knight. And Thomas Sink pushing him into the corner. Daniel Knight trying to hold it strong on the high side. Bradley can't quite wash up. Now he can. He puts his bumper up there in front of Daniel Knight's and is able to get off the corner. Daniel Knight moves up to second place as they go down the backstretch.
You know, Daniel Knight actually did a better job in that outside line than I was expecting on that start, Adam. I really thought that Bradley Holly would have a pretty
and we have a wreck
run.
in the backfield already. That's Tristan Callahan that's gone around off the nose of Paul Johnson. The number 14 trucks of the 77 gone around backwards. It's our first caution of the day here on lap 1. Lots of trucks involved in that one.
Yeah, those incidences on the initial starts like that are really bad when everybody's bunched all together. Looks like he may have gotten a little tap from behind, and then just Tristan gets collected there by the 95.
Yeah, so the 95 getting damage. I believe Mark Kalin got some damage in that as well. The number 62, the 2 truck there of William Lee, who started off in the last position, getting major damage. The 24 of Jose Medina as well. So quite a few trucks with damage after this one.
Yeah, we talked about that being a trouble spot, Adam, with the way the track narrowed up. A lot of guys really didn't have all that much room to avoid that incident.
Yeah, so Adam Shane also with, I believe, a blown engine as well. So quite a few trucks are going to be in pit lane to get damage repaired. So this was not how those guys in the back of the field wanted to start this. And I was saying that Tristan Callahan's qualifying was not the best that he's had. And unfortunately, that leads him to be... to have an unfortunate moment there that probably will take him out of this race. But as we see the fastest lap starting to trickle in here under the pace car, that definitely means that we haven't had a green flag lap yet.
Yeah, you got to feel for Tristan Callahan. He's probably one of the drivers that's happy this season's going to be over. He's shown a lot of flashes of brilliance as far as his qualifying pace and things like that, but just seems to have no luck once the race goes green. So I'm sure he'll be happy to get this season behind him and start over fresh next month.
So 6 drivers in the pits: Tristan Callahan, Matthew Aubrey, Adam Shane, Brandon Walter, Jose Medina, and William Lee are all in pits for repairs after that wreck. So that leaves 17 clean, well, relatively clean trucks on the track. There are a couple that decided not to take damage. So things getting very exciting here for these drivers early on. And here's that cloud cover that we were talking about. This will start to decrease the track temperature a little bit for this race and may make things interesting as we go back green.
Yeah, this is pretty significant cloud cover too, so this could actually make a pretty good difference if we get back to green here pretty quick.
So you can see 116 degrees on track, wind still static out of the north at 2 miles an hour. It's more or less the minimum that you're going to see around here. Humidity 51%, so nothing much going on there either. So as the pace lights are not out on the pace car quite yet, so we're still going to go around one more time, which is interesting considering the fact that I don't believe we had any trucks a lap down by the time we went under caution, but pace car being a little bit more cautious this time around, so we have one more lap to talk about where everyone is in the points. Now, Daniel Knight, I mentioned it at the beginning of the race, he's hoping that Bradley Holly is going to frankly wreck out of this race and that he finishes first so he can win the championship. Bradley pretty much just needs to finish inside the top 15, and he's definitely got the championship sealed up.
Yeah, and Bradley Holly's just been so consistent this season that it's going to take a small miracle for that championship to swing out of his grasps at this point.
And what's been awesome to watch has been the fight between Daniel Knight and Bradley Holly on track has been fairly even, with Daniel Knight actually coming out ahead of Bradley more times than not. But where the difference has been made has been in the pit lane. Bradley Holly's pit entry and exits have been on average a second and a half faster than Daniel Knight's. And that has been where Bradley Holly has been making the progress and been beating Daniel Knight when they come to green flag or even yellow flag pit stops and getting track position.
Yeah, that's a very strong point, Adam. There's been plenty of races we've had where it looked like Holly was going to be relegated to maybe a top 5, but definitely out of the question for a win. And just having the better speed through the pit lane has made the difference and gotten him wins.
It may make the difference tonight depending on how long we can go green, but here we go with the Mustang pace car with its lights off, everyone lined up double file for one more. I guess this is a restart, but it kind of feels like the actual start of the race as we get ready to go green one more time. They're going to enter 3 and 4, and Bradley Holly will lead them to the line with Daniel Knight second, Thomas in third, Doug Evans still in fourth place, Colton Lane's currently fifth, and Brendan Chatley to sixth position. So Nicholas Schwartz actually dropped 2 spots there at that last restart, so he's down to 7th spot. So here we go. The pace car is off. Bradley Holly leading them to the line. Let's see how long he'll wait this time. And he goes quite early, catches Daniel Knight sleeping. Thomas Sink definitely in coordination with Bradley Holly there. They break out in front of Daniel Knight, and now Bradley Holly has a rear gunner as they enter 1 and 2.
Yeah, Thomas Sink was really on it with predicting that start. But Daniel Knight, like you said, Adam, caught napping. He drops back a position. But now he goes to look to the inside of the 48 of Sink as they head down the back straightaway.
Daniel Knight knows that in order to have an opportunity at challenging Bradley Holly, he needs to move Sink out of the way, and so he dives down to the inside through 3 and 4, and quite a few trucks struggling through 3 and 4, even on these opening laps here. That is Doug Evans who's sliding backwards there in that purple truck, who's got Brendan Chatley down to his inside. But there we go, Bradley Holly with the fastest lap, and here is that Brendan Chatley down there on the low side. We're looking at Doug Evans, and we got another caution. That I believe that's Brett Adams in the back of the field, the 23 truck, and we have another truck parked. That's Barron Hilton. And this does start with Brett Adams. This is coming off of 3 and 4. Brett and Barron just come together there. And you can see it as they come off of 3 and 4. Barron Hilton gets a little bit loose. He corrects it, and that drives down the track towards Brett Adams, who is moving up to try and get a little bit of side draft there. And they both come together.
Yeah, it looked like just a little bit of overcorrection on the O2's part, trying to get away from that wall that's kind of reached out and bit a few drivers today.
Well, unfortunately, we have not. Well, okay, the leaders have completed 1 green flag lap so far, but the mid and back of the pack have yet to complete a green flag lap. Bradley Holly has set the fastest lap currently of a 34.792, so fairly representative for him. But unfortunately, we're back under caution here, and with 2 more trucks in the pit lane, I can let you know that Matthew Aubrey and Adam Shane have both decided to drop out of this race after their damage that they received during the first caution. And now here we are under our second.
Yeah, very foreboding start to the season finale.
It is a foreboding start, and it's a scary one for sure for all these drivers, considering the fact the person who's most scared, I believe, Chris, is going to be Bradley Hall. Well, not Bradley Holly, but Daniel Knight. Bradley's loving this because if they keep doing this, then he could just pace to the win of the season.
Yeah, at this point, he may just ride behind that pace car for what is it, 71 more laps and cruise to victory.
Well, he won't need to do that because one thing that we did mention at the beginning of the race as well is the fact that, well, actually we didn't mention it because I realize now, Chris, that I never got to the race details, but this race is limited to an hour. So they do 80 laps or an hour, whichever comes first in these NASCAR trucks. So if they continue pacing like this, they might not make it to that final 80th lap. So things are going to have to get a little bit cleaner here in order to get us underway. Currently, Colton Lane was the one who's the biggest mover on that restart. He's in the 60 red, white, and blue machine, tucked into that 4th position. We're going on board with Colton Lane as he paces around here, managing the fuel in those trucks. Now, these trucks do run 100% fuel, but with the race distances, that ensures that they have 1 pit stop. They also only have 3 extra sets of tires. They have 4 total, the 1 on their truck, and 3 more in the pits. So at this pace, I don't see them using all of them, but we can see Colton Lane trundling around, managing his fuel a little bit up in that 4th gear under pace car.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea to be saving fuel even under these caution laps early on. It can make a huge difference on saving some time in the pits later on.
Now, for those of you wondering, our GSRC onboard timing and scoring is currently not sponsored by anybody, but if you'd like to, we have a link down in our description, and we would love to have you or your company sponsor our timing and scoring. That's one option that we provide for our sponsors and our partners as well. So feel free to jump on board with that and get in contact with us. Currently, Bradley Holly leads over Daniel Knight and Thomas Sink, with Colton Lane in that 4th position. Doug Evans has rolled back to 5th spot, with Brendan Chatley recovering a little bit more, getting up to that 6th position. Paul Johnson up 2 spots to 7th, with Nicholas Schwartz down even more. He lost another position in that last restart, down to 8th spot, with Mark Kalin up to 9th, and Charles Sumner has held steady in that 10th position.
You know, Adam, one thing that we were talking about before we got underway here this evening was the attention to detail that they have at this track on the iRacing service. You'll notice as they head down the backstretch, there's actually an opening on the backstretch where kind of like a crossover to get the equipment into the inner pits of the track. You can actually see there's a porta potty that they've managed to include on the backstretch here at Gateway.
Yeah, there you see Daniel Knight weaving into that little cutout. Now, one of the things you were talking about before the race, Chris, was our prediction as to whether or not anybody was going to get sent into that little cutout, because that can usually end in a pretty expensive and terrifying accident.
Yeah, that's a really prone part of the track. If you get turned there, going head on into that flat of the wall is definitely going to be a day ender.
There are many, many cutouts like that across the ovals in America. One of the unique things about ovals is that it's really hard to get in or out of the track, considering the track does a full circuit. There is a tunnel here at the Worldwide Technology Raceway, but that cutout in the back of the track also is another way to get in or out, but also good place to put a porta potty for those track workers as well. But the pace car is currently got its lights off. We're about to go racing. We have completed already 11 laps. Shoot, about 10 of them under pace car. Well, 10 and a half, I suppose you'd say. So as we get ready to go racing, once again, Bradley Holly in the lead with Daniel Knight in 2nd, Thomas Sink 3rd, Colton Lane 4th, and Brendan Chatley in 5th. Yeah,
so let's cross our fingers here. These guys get calmed down a little bit, and we can get the remainder of this race in under green flag conditions.
Yeah, usually fairly used to hosting night races. Worldwide Technology Speedway hosting this daytime race for this season finale of the Precision Racing League Truck Series here on GSRC. Bradley Holly leading them to the line. The Mustang race car getting ready to pull off into pit lane. He does it now through that nice paved section. Bradley Holly, will he wait this time? He jumps even earlier. A little bit of a misshift there into fourth, but he's still able to get the jump over Daniel Knight. Thomas Sink is as well. Daniel's going to have to do all this over again. Colton Lane looking very tasty on the back of Daniel Knight right there as they go into 1 and 2.
Daniel Knight once again gets right to the back bumper of Thomas Sink, but having to... Ooh, Thomas Sink gets a little bit squirrely off the corner. But looks like Daniel Knight may have slowed down a bit in response. But now Daniel Knight not able to get right back by Thomas Sink like he did on the last restart. So now it's going to be even harder for Sink or Knight to get up there and try to challenge for the win.
The top 7 now single file as they get off of 3 and 4. Bradley Holly leads yet another lap with Thomas Sink in second, Daniel Knight in third. And look at that, Daniel Knight diving down to the inside of Thomas Sink as they go into 1 and 2. That's a hard braking zone, an easy way to load up that right front with temperature, but he gets a pretty decent exit, and here he goes. He makes the pass. That's a great pass there from Daniel Knight.
Yeah, Daniel Knight will clear him as he heads off into turn number 3. Thomas Sink now relegated to the 3rd position, and Colton Lane beginning to make a move for that spot as well.
So our first green flag laps being turned right now as they start lap number 15. Bradley Holly will cross the line, and it is single file all the way down through 5th position, but the battle is on for 6th and 7th between Paul Johnson and Brendan Chatley, as Paul Johnson actually sends it very deep into 3 and 4 there, and right in behind them, that's the battle for the 8th position with Nicholas Schwartz and Mark Kalin being joined now by Adam Zemke, and that rounds out your top 10.
Yeah, looks like Kalin and Zemke are going to be the best battle on the track right now as they go side by side through the corner.
You can tell just how tight it is for these drivers. They're tight so much that they're snapped loose on exit, and that's the problems that we've been seeing. But here they go side by side, Kalin and Zemke as they go across the line. It's currently Zemke that leads going into 1 and 2, but this hard braking zone often favors that inside line. Kalin trying to make it work there, but can't quite get the power off the corner. Look at that, Zemke holding strong on the outside. They're going to have to go back single file.
Yeah, Zemke is very impressive in that outer groove here. This is not a track where that type of side-by-side racing is something it's known for. So Zemke's got a real good command of this truck today to get the position on Kalin.
I want to take us up to Doug Evans, though, because he's got company behind him. Brendan Chatley and Nicholas Schwartz, they're battling for that 6th position. And Doug Evans is starting to become the cork in the bottle when it comes to these moments. He's having a real hard time getting through 1 and 2.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see Evans struggle with the handle on this truck so much. He looked very fast in qualifying, but seems like he just cannot get that truck to cooperate with him going through turns 1 and 2.
He's sending it so deep in there, he's probably loading up the temperature on that right front, but here he goes, diving down to the inside there of Brendan Chatley, Paul Johnson, as they go into 3 and 4. But once again, that inside line, the trucks are just so tight on their setup, Chris, that the inside line is looking like a detriment. But looking at his rearview mirror, we've got Brendan Chatley, Nicholas Schwartz, also lined up in behind him.
Yeah, it's really turning into a bit of a bee's nest there around that 5th position. Johnson has the spot, but it is far from decided.
Johnson's going to be able to pull away a little bit. Here comes Brendan Chatley's opportunity to take that high side pass on Doug Evans. Doug stuck there on the low side, which is becoming the not preferred side. He clips the inside curve just a little bit, washes up halfway up the track, but manages to keep it off of Brendan Chatley. But here comes the 42 of Adam Zemke in that blue truck. He's looking mighty speedy there on that low side, whereas Doug Evans seems to be struggling.
Outside of our top 2 drivers, 42 may look the most comfortable out there of anybody. Seems like he's really able to get that truck to go wherever he wants on the track, and he is showing a lot of speed here in the opening 19 laps.
These guys have now been joined by Mark Kalin in the orange and black machine up there on the high side above the 42 in the blue. And now they all start to string out a little bit, but those two are still side by side. Mark Kalin and Adam Zemke are 2 most comfortable drivers outside of that top 5, and they're just holding it off together right now. Looks like Zemke's tires starting to fall away as well, so it looks like you can only spend it. Oh my goodness, that was a very sketchy moment there from Doug Evans. He got onto the brakes. Looks like he got a little bit loose coming through the corner.
Yeah, Doug Evans actually
Oh,
went through the
caution on the
grass.
track. It's Adam Young and Nicholas Hunter who wrecked in 17th and 18th positions. And this actually starts with Nicholas Hunter. He gets a little bit loose on the brakes and just can't hold it down on track. This is the same thing we saw out of the 41 of Doug Evans.
Yeah, this is pretty much a worst case scenario with what happened with Doug Evans. Evans was able to recover, but here you have Hunter goes down into the grass, comes back up across the track right in front of Adam Young.
So, with 20 laps complete, that's a fourth of the way into the race, and I believe this would be a great time for pit stops. What do you think, Chris?
I think if you have some drivers that are maybe thinking about an early move, this would definitely be the time to do it, as it looks like just about everybody heading to pit road.
So Bradley Holly leads them to the line with Daniel Knight tucked in right behind him. This won't be an opportunity for Bradley Holly to get one of his famous pit stop passes, but as they come onto pit lane, you'll see that's the pace car coming around right now, and here they come. It's a very tight pit entry when you're under green, but under yellow, fairly simple affair, as you see them all stream onto pit lane, led by Bradley Holly.
If you notice, Daniel Knight is glued to the back of Bradley Holly, not giving him a single inch of space as they head down pit road.
Well, Daniel knows what we know, which is that Bradley is really good into and out of his box. So let's see who can hit it well this time. Looks like they're both going to hit it well. Daniel actually a little bit quicker into his box than Bradley. The pit crew's doing work now. Let's see who's got the fastest pit crew right now. Looks like Mark Kalin just drove straight through the pit lane, so he's probably going to come around one more time. And they come out pretty much nose to tail once again. Bradley, with that track position advantage in pit lane, that pit lane advantage, is able to get out ahead.
Yeah, it looked like maybe Daniel Knight had a bit of a better positioning into his pit box, but nonetheless, Bradley Holly maintains the position.
All right, well, that's going to take us to a short break here on GSRC, but don't go anywhere. We'll bring you back right in time for the green flag to bring us back under racing. We'll be right back. PRL NASCAR Truck Series here on GSRC. We're currently at Worldwide Technology Raceway for the season finale, and no, your eyes do not deceive you. That man you're riding on board with is not Bradley Holly. That is Mark Kalin, who decided to drive straight to the pit lane and stay out. So he's going to ride along with those tires that are currently quite old. So as we get ready to line them up double file, you can see the 17 truck of Daniel Knight leaving to get those tires warmed up for him. But one thing we need to mention is that the track temperature is down significantly since we started the race. We started the race at 117 degrees Fahrenheit, and here it is at 112. That's definitely going to affect them as they go into 1 and 2, Chris.
Yeah, it's going to be maybe a little bit more grip for these fresh tires, with the track being a little bit cooler. 112 is still pretty warm, so look for things to still be a little bit difficult as far as the handle goes, but at least things are trending in the right direction.
So Mark Kalin currently leads with Bradley Holly in second, Daniel Knight third, Thomas Sink in fourth, and Colton Lane in fifth position. Mark Kalin on 24 lap old tires when they get to this restart. Bradley Holly on fresh tires. So is Daniel Knight tucked in behind Mark Kalin. I would expect these guys to go streaming around Mark Kalin on that outside lane, but we'll find out here as the pace car enters 3 and 4 and gets ready to drop down to the inside on the curved concrete section right before the start finish line, and that's going to release Mark Kalin to lead them to the green. So pace car pulls off now. Mark Kalin backing them up just a little bit behind the pace car. Let's see whether he takes the opportunity to jump early, and he jumps right on the exit, and Bradley Holly gets a great restart there on the outside, pushed by Thomas Sink. Thomas Sink jamming onto the back of the 184, pushing him into turns 1 and 2. Mark Kalin tries to dive it down deep, but he's loose under the brakes. Look at this, it's 3 wide as the exit 3 and 4.
That's definitely not a move we typically see at this track, as Daniel Knight falls in line behind Thomas Sink, but a bit hairy there on that restart with Mark Kalin up front on those old tires.
Daniel Knight needed to get by, but Mark Kalin just dropping like a rock from the front of that field. He's already been passed by Paul Johnson in 5th spot. Colton Lane trying to make that work. Daniel Knight, though, looks like he had something happen to him. He's losing a position now, and he's dropped all the way back down to 4th position because Paul Johnson just made it up his inside. What happened to him off the 3 and 4?
Paul Johnson's been pretty fast all day, but looks like Daniel Knight gonna fight back, as Colton Lane's got a nice little bird's eye view of this battle going on. Colton Lane now to the inside of Daniel Knight.
Daniel Knight struggling to regain that momentum. These trucks, as you've said in many of the weeks that we have run, are really momentum-based machines. Colton Lane trying to hold it down there on the bottom side. It's just really difficult. Daniel Knight manages to keep it going, but those front two, Bradley Holly and Thomas Sink, are out to a pretty decent lead at this point. Colton Lane's going to have to get in line behind them. Thomas Sink with the fastest lap tucked there in behind Bradley Holly.
Yeah, Thomas Sink putting down a pretty solid lap,
Woo!
but still a few truck lengths back from Bradley Holly.
And that was Mark Kalin you saw getting very loose off of the exit of 1 and 2. Those old tires are not working for him. He might have to come in under green flag if he's not careful here. But look at this. Bradley Holly and Thomas Sink out to the front of the field. Looks like these trucks get very loose once their tires go. Mark Kalin really struggling in the back of the field right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was a miscue or what that prompted Mark Kalin to try staying out, but I think he will admit this was probably not a great move. Oh, as he gets him to the outside wall.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was worth a shot, but after 20 laps, everyone's starting to get loose. The caution being caused by a loose truck, I mean, that's just rough. And he's now dropped all the way back down to 14th position after starting on the front row. So, man, this is just not a great strategy call for him today. And back to the front, though, taking a look at Bradley Holly and Thomas Sink, who currently have a 7 tenths of a second lead over Paul Johnson in 3rd position. Dana Knight has managed to recover a little bit, with Brendan Shatley recovering a little bit as well. So hanging on there to the back of Dana Knight.
Looks like Thomas Sink making up a lot of ground on corner entry.
Yeah, but is that going to pay off for him, or is that going to hurt him? We can see him sliding a little bit there off of the exit of 3 and 4. Bradley Holly seems to be just pacing himself because he's pretty confident Thomas is not going to try and pass him at this point.
Yeah, but Thomas Sink is looking really fast. I don't know if he's going to want to push the issue this early on, but it looks like And we've seen this many times before. It looks like he may have something, but then again, it could just be Bradley Holly biding his time.
So the field has strung out single file now through the entire field, so we're running down the order a little bit here. Bradley Holly currently leading with Thomas Sink, who we're on board with right now, chasing down Bradley. Paul Johnson now has dropped a couple more tenths to Thomas Sink, down to 0.85 of a second. And he's trying to hang on there in front of Daniel Knight, who struggled off of 3 and 4 on the second lap of this restart, who's now trying to recover. That's not good news for him when it comes to the championship points battle. He's hoping that Bradley Holly has a bad day and that he has a good day, and currently the tables have turned. But here comes Daniel Knight down to the inside through 3 and 4 to try and make the pass there on Paul Johnson.
Yeah, Daniel Knight, once the run gets going, he's able to pick up the speed, but these restarts have just been his Achilles heel all day.
Yeah, so he's now made the, a little bit of outside wall contact there for Daniel Knight. Maybe that's the kind of thing that happened to him on the exit of 3 and 4, but this makes Paul Johnson think that he shouldn't let Daniel Knight just get away with this. He's going to think about challenging back Daniel Knight there for that 3rd position. Daniel's going to have to prove to Paul that he's faster, otherwise Paul might cause him a little bit of trouble here.
Yeah, Paul Johnson has definitely been no slouch so far in this race. He's made up a lot of spots too. Watching this one, started in the 9th position. So Paul Johnson's ran a pretty smart race so far, and don't look for him to just lay over and let Daniel Knight back by.
You know, we were mentioning Doug Evans struggling earlier on. Doug is now in a battle with Charles Sumner for the 8th position, and they've got some help right now. Austin Hunter looking into the inside as well, but Doug just actually hit the outside wall, exiting 1 and 2, which let Charles Sumner get the position, but now he's got Austin Hunter to his inside through 3 and 4. Austin putting on those brakes, and look at that. That's Doug Evans holding it on the outside, but he actually gives it the position and gives Austin Hunter that spot. Tucked in behind them, though. Look at that. We have another move going on right there. That's John LaBaff, I think, trying to get by Nicholas Schwartz.
Yeah, that was a pretty bold move. Pulled out to make the pass there in the 44 truck. That's Nicholas Schwartz. And looks like he's going to make the pass there.
So he's definitely trying to... Whoa, wow. They're weaving around a little bit there on this front straightaway there. That was the... Jeez, it's very tight between those drivers. The 911 on the outside, Nicholas Schwartz in the 44 on the inside. That's John LaBaff in the 911. And this is Tristan Callahan trying to make his recovery drive work after that early crash that happened in the first caution.
Yeah, Callahan doing a pretty solid job working his way back up through the field. Running in the 13th position right now, and the truck actually looks pretty fast.
So as they continue to try and sort that out, it looks like Callahan's actually going to make a move right now. He's diving down to the inside. Callahan trying to get to the bottom side of John LaBaff through 3 and 4. That bottom side, though, seems to wear off as the race goes on. You can only stay down there for a little bit, but he's choosing to use that real estate right now. They've got Brett Adams tucked in behind him in the 23, also trying to recover from an early caution.
Yeah, the inside line here looks like it's been a lot of work for these drivers, but when it works really well.
Tristan Callahan didn't believe that he had it cleared, so he decided to stay on that bottom lane. That gives John LaBaff an opportunity to come back around the outside. Tristan Callahan on the bottom side is going to dive it really deep into 3 and 4. Can he hold it down there? Yes, he can. He puts on the brakes on the apex, keeping John LaBaff tucked in behind him. And Tristan Callahan give him the 12th spot.
Yeah, and do remember this track and asymmetrical layout. Turns 1 and 2 are significantly tighter radius than 3 and 4, so it's a lot more difficult for these drivers to get this truck to turn through 1 and 2.
It looks like Colton Lane has just made it past Paul Johnson on the exit of 1 and 2. Looks like these trucks are starting to run into that tire barrier again. Currently 16 laps on their stint as they cross the line. They will be starting their 17th lap, and that was a major wall hit there for Paul Johnson on the exit of 3 and 4. That's that safer barrier we talked about before one of the restarts. Wow, Paul very deep into the corner, possibly too deep. Here comes Brendan Chantley licking his chops. He's going to try and get alongside as they exit 1 and 2.
That's another thing about these tracks with the vastly different corners is sometimes you kind of get out of your rhythm and you end up driving 1 and 2 like you should have drove 3 and 4.
Yeah, well, that means Paul Johnson ends up with a really hot right front tire, which means it won't turn. He's really struggling to get that thing to turn off the exit. And here comes Adam Zemke looking up the inside, and that's definitely a little bit of a blocking move there for Brendan Chatley going into one and going across the start-finish line into 1 and 2. Zemke trying to hold that bottom lane. Paul Johnson trying to do the over-under. They're going to come together a little bit there, and that's Adam Young way down on the bottom of the track. Looks like his truck is not behaving the way it would like. He's going to stay off the racing line and take that thing back to the pits, but this battle's still going on for the 5th position.
Yeah, Zemke's been one that's looked fast at moments throughout this race as well, as he tries to make a move on the 59 of Chatley, and that would give him a chance in the top 5 today for the first time.
Zemke taking a look to the inside, thinks better of it, stays in line with Brendan at this moment in time. He's going to try and diamond that corner, though, and get a better exit off, but nothing doing this time around. Brendan Chatley holding strong there. And, wow, it has gotten very tight for the lead. Thomas Sink still following Bradley Holly, but it is tighter than it ever has been.
Yeah, these drivers running a couple different lines around the 1 1/4 mile layout here at Worldwide Technology Raceway. The 184 of Holly deciding to run a little bit closer to the bottom in turns 3 and 4, and that has allowed the 48 of Sink to really close in.
As we continue to watch the battle between Charles Sumner there and the 42 of Adam Zemke, those two, wow, the later you go into these runs, the harder it is to make a pass for sure for these drivers. You're going to have to hope for a mistake from the guy ahead of you, but those seem to be coming pretty quick and fast for these drivers.
This is very much a difficult track to drive, especially in the daytime with the heat beating down on this track, making it even worse.
Yeah, so we see, like you said, the heat really starting to get to them. We're going to jump on board with Adam Zemke off his nose as he tries to tackle Brendan Chatley. It's just nothing really doing right now.
Yeah, it's a hot, slick track right now, and these drivers are really trying to just keep the trucks planted on the track, and that's challenge enough without having to try to advance your position.
Look at this, he's got a decent run this time, but he can't really do anything with it into 1 and 2. He looks to the inside. Is he going to try and dive it in? Yes, he is.
Yeah, he sails it off into turn 1 there.
He saw the advantage and saw the little bit of run he got, and he knows that Brendan Chatley's struggling to turn that truck, so he decides to put it there on the bottom side, stick Brendan on the high side where he can't turn, and now he's got the overlap. He's going to dive into the 3 and 4 as well, loading up heat and pressure into that right front tire, and he's going to just try and power it off the corner here. Wow. Very, very assertive move there from Adam Zemke to get up to this spot.
Yeah, that's definitely making chicken salad moment for the 42 machine. He saw just a sniff of an opportunity and hopped all over it.
So as we saw Paul Johnson trying to recover and get back into that battle as well, the lead battle is getting closer. Thomas Sink has been biding his time, tucked in behind Bradley Holly. These two drivers have been managing their pace. And Thomas looks like he's getting a little hungry for that lead at this point, Chris.
Yeah, Thomas Sink has not let Bradley Holly get very far away from him at all.
Daniel Knight now down to a 1.7 second gap behind these guys, so he's hoping for another caution. But I mean, it's not looking great for him. Currently on the 46th lap, we've completed 45 out of 80. They're doing a good pace to get to the end of this race at this rate. So these guys doing a good job. It's one of the things that we were a little concerned about under the last caution, is whether they would make it under the time allotted. But Thomas Sink's starting to look a little tight coming off of the corners now.
Yeah, unfortunately, as this race wears on and the tires wear out, these trucks are going to get harder to drive, and then passing opportunities are going to be fewer and farther between.
And at some point, I have a feeling we're going to have one more pit stop to go, at least for tires. I think the pace is starting to wear off. For example, their best lap is the best lap that anyone has done is from Thomas Sink, a 34.243. His last lap was a 35.791. So they've already lost a second and a half off of their time. So that second and a half gap is exactly the gap back to Daniel Knight. So Daniel Knight could come into an early pit stop, get the undercut done, and possibly have the lead if he was able to get on and off pit road quick enough. being able to match the times of Bradley Holly if he wanted to do so.
Ooh, you saw a bit of a moment there for Thomas Sink coming off the corner. Had to saw on the wheel a little bit to keep it pointed straight.
These drivers are definitely working at it. Closing in on 30 to go, so, I mean, if they were to pit now, which they're not going to, but if they were to pit now, they would have to split this race another 2 times. You can see those folks up ahead. That is Jose Medina and Nicholas Hunter, who are not battling for position. Nicholas Hunter is trying to stay ahead. He's currently 2 laps behind Jose Medina, so he's just trying to get by him, I guess, for track position reasons. But Bradley Holly and Thomas Sink are closing in on these lap trucks, and they're going to stay hot.
Yeah, the lap trucks getting well out of the way to allow the leaders through.
That being said, it is going to compromise the exit of Thomas Sink, so that will give Bradley Holly a little bit more breathing. It looks like he took a little bit of a lift there to save a little bit more fuel. It's possible that they might be tight on fuel going to the end of the race at this point.
You know, I did think pitting around lap 20 like they did, I thought it might be cutting it a little bit tight on fuel, but of course, I'm no math magician, so figuring out those numbers, not necessarily my forte, but I did have that concern when everybody started pitting on lap 20.
All right, so here's my question for you, Chris. If you're Daniel Knight down there in the 3rd position, and you know that in order to win a championship, you need to win, and you need Bradley Holly to have a bad day, do you take the risk and come in for that extra pit stop, even if you can make it to the end of the race, and try and jump up there on raw pace, or do you think it's just not worth it?
I think if it were me, I'd go for it just because you don't really have anything else to lose as far as the championship goes. But if, you know, keeping this race in mind, Daniel Knight's probably thinking a 3rd place is better than what he could be risking by pitting.
Yeah, if he wasn't on the podium, I would say, yeah, it might be worth the opportunity. But see some cloud cover coming back over track right now. And if you're wondering, this is definitely the closest battle we have on track, but there is a little bit of a group forming in a queue behind Colton Lane. This is consisting of Adam Zemke, Brendan Shatley, Paul Johnson, and Doug Evans, who are more or less equidistant from each other, but we see Adam Zemke really starting to make some progress up there.
Yeah, looking at the sheets, Zemke actually started 15th on the track, but he has consistently been climbing up through the ranks for the entirety of this race.
And speaking of a man who's been keeping his pace fairly consistent, Zemke has only lost 1 second from his fastest time. That was a 34.7, so it's not the quickest time we've seen. But he's definitely driving very consistently, which is something that should not be discounted here. Oh my goodness, that was close between Colton Lane and Nicholas Hunter as they came off of 1 and 2. This might give Adam Zemke an opportunity as they go into 3 and 4. Colton Lane's actually going to stay to the bottom of the track, and he's going to pit. Our first green flag pit stop taker will be Colton Lane.
I guess it doesn't surprise me too much that it's Colton Lane being one of the drivers to make a bit of a bold move as far as pit stops go.
I believe that was Jose Medina who just made contact with the outside wall on the exit of 3 and 4, so he's going to be a little bit, he's probably going to be one of the next ones to come down. So, will Bradley Holly and Thomas Sink come in? And the answer is no, because we're under caution. This is fascinating. We're going to take a look and try and find this because according to our timing screens, nobody was going slow enough to bring out the caution. So, as I go around the track, I'm going to take a look around the track and try and figure out who this was. I believe it was Jose Medina. Jose Medina in the 24. Yes, it was. Jose Medina in the 24 off the nose of the 41 of Doug Evans, unfortunately. So there he is, slow, exiting the corner, so it's just a little bit before this. So here he is, going into turns 1 and 2. He's slow on the high side, and Doug Evans just comes in with a head of steam and puts him around.
It looked like Evans just couldn't get the truck woed up enough.
Yeah, Doug just outbrakes himself into turns 1 and 2. Can't get down to the apex, and unfortunately gets into the back of the 24. Well, what that does is it means that Daniel Knight, or it means that Colton Lane actually might be in the best position in this race, because he just came to pit lane right before this happened. So Bradley Holly and Daniel Knight, everybody else coming down pit lane now. The strategy game is busted out. But Colton, oh, he was caught a lap down, unfortunately. So Bradley Holly will still retain the lead of this race, and actually Colton Lane is going to be caught out, unfortunately, because of this caution.
That's a tough break for Colton. I really thought with the way the caution fell, he might have made it out in time, but unfortunately does not look that way.
So Colton Lane will have to re-queue at the back of the pack. He was doing so well. He was up to 6th spot, and here he is in 15th behind the pace car. Can't get by. So, unfortunately, that means the strategy plays that might have happened are out the window. But fortunately, that means we bunch everyone up, and Daniel Knight gets another opportunity to try and challenge Bradley Holly for the lead of this race.
But you got to think too, these restarts have not worked out in Daniel Knight's favor. He's lost at least 1 spot on every restart we've had.
So, seeing as the cautions are a little extended here around Worldwide Technology Speedway, we are going to take yet one more break, and we'll bring you back for hopefully what will be the conclusion of the PRL NASCAR Truck Series here on GSRC. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. welcome back to the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series here on GSRC. We're currently at Worldwide International Raceway for their season finale. Bradley Holly will lead them to the line with Thomas Sink, Daniel Knight, Adam Zemke, and Brendan Chapman rounding out your top 5. The Mustang pace car will pull off very shortly, and Bradley Holly will lead them to the line. He's jumped early the last couple times he's been on the front row. Last time was Mark Kalin, but Mark's two-tire strategy did not work. But this time, Bradley jumps early once again. Thomas Sink with a good jump. Daniel Knight being left in the dust, actually. He's going to have to drop up to that high side and try and take that line away from Adam Zemke. He is able to do so, but Bradley Holly will lead them into 1 and 2.
Another great restart by Bradley Holly as Thomas Sink looking for somewhere to go. Daniel Knight able to maintain 3rd position, but he has to fall in line as they head down the back straightaway off towards turn 3.
We've got 2 rescue racing machines side by side, Austin Hunter and Brendan Chatley. Brendan actually backs out a little bit early from that corner, but look at this. Daniel Knight looking on the over-under on Thomas Sink, who actually gets a little loose off the corner. He's going to try and have to hold on to the back of Bradley Holly there, but Daniel Knight looks to the inside, can't quite get the overlap, unfortunately. He's going to dive it down into 1 and 2 and try and get underneath, and he's going to manage to do it.
Daniel Knight dive bombing into turns 1 and 2. He's going to pull even with Thomas Sink as they head down the back straightaway.
And look out. I mean, don't look now, but Adam Zemke is looking at this and thinking, man, I can get a podium if these guys keep fighting. But Daniel Knight dives deep into 3 and 4 and just parks it on the apex, but he's clipping that apron. That's going to get the truck a little bit loose. He does get loose, so does Thomas Sink. And here comes Zemke with a great run on Sink. He's actually going to back out of it a little bit, though, as they go into 1 and 2. Wow, what an interesting first couple of laps between these top running contenders, but Zemke's truck genuinely looks like the best on the grid right now.
Well, Zemke has been one of the most consistent drivers in the field all day, and looks like he is taking this opportunity to show what he has here in the latter stages of this event now as he begins to run down our podium runners.
Bradley Holly putting in a Hamilton and smashing in yet another fastest lap here late on in the race, a 34.194 for Bradley Holly as he goes faster than ever. He's only 1/10 off of that time this time around as well. So great work from him out there in the front of the field. But these guys tucked in behind him aren't much slower either. Whoa, no, Daniel Knight into the outside wall coming off of 1 and 2. That's going to give the opportunity to Thomas Sink. Let's hope that the damage is not too much. Wow, Knight diving it into the corner. He's sideways as he goes through 3 and 4. Thomas Sink on the inside is also sideways as he's trying to keep it down on that bottom line. But Daniel Knight a little bit slow on the straightaway. Zemke's going to line up in behind him, and she's going to have to choose who to go with.
Yeah, Daniel Knight beginning to recover a little bit from that big moment into the wall. They are very tight through 1 and 2. Adam Zemke now looking for somewhere to go. They make contact. Knight into the outside wall.
Daniel Knight into the outside wall. Unfortunately, he's getting freight train now. He's now back to the 8th position and with some significant right side damage. That's not going to help him at all. That was just good, hard racing between Thomas Sink and Daniel Knight, both of them on the complete edge of those trucks. But what that has done is allowed Bradley Holly to run away with a 1.2 second lead right now, with Daniel Knight all the way back to 7th position, and he's going to have to recover once again.
Thomas Sink now gets a little bit loose. That's going to possibly open the door for Zemke. As you can see him in the foreground there, Zemke getting a bit of a run on Sink for that runner-up position.
Yeah, Adam Zemke is definitely not done with this. He's thinking to himself that the podium's good, but second's probably better. Let's see what I can do here. And he's definitely looking at Thomas Sink. Thomas, who was battling so hard with Daniel Knight for those first couple of laps of this stint. He's got no way to be able to catch up to Bradley Holly at this point. The battle is here between second place. Unless Sink can really back off and get those tires back under control, but he can't seem to do so. He does it deep into 1 and 2 once again, goes up the track. Zemke with a really good opportunity for second place here.
Yeah, looks like about 1 truck length between them as they head off towards turn number 3. And once again, the 48 really driving it into the corners, and he wants to give those tires a chance to calm down. He is definitely going about it the wrong way.
You probably can't see him. He's so close in behind Austin Hunter, but Daniel Knight currently looking for a way by that 312 to recover from yet once again another bad restart. He dives it to the inside of 1 and 2. Holy smokes. Hunter did not expect that to happen. But Daniel Knight just can't get the power down off the corner. The 312 holding strong on the outside. Daniel's going to have to slip in behind him again.
Yeah, probably a bit of frustration setting in from Daniel Knight with the championship slipping from his grasp as he is really trying to get past the 312.
312 going a little bit deep into 3 and 4. Daniel Knight able to get a great exit off the corner, swoops right in front of him. That was fantastic work from Daniel to make it through that corner efficiently. Paul Johnson now to the inside of the 312 as they go into 1 and 2. He's going to have a little bit better luck than Daniel Knight with the 312. Oh, wow. 14 getting a little bit loose on power. A little bit more rotation than he was expecting. And here comes Tristan Callahan, the recovery drive of the night. He's now up to his starting position and is now challenging Paul Johnson on the outside for that 7th spot.
Not a bad turn of luck for the 77 machine after a spin in the opening laps of this race. Back up into the top 10 and looking to challenge for a couple more positions before this one's done.
Tristan Callahan in that multicolored Toyota, the 77 truck, as he tries to get into the inside of Austin Hunter as they go into 1 and 2. We've just been following these cars down through the field, but Tristan Callahan not able to get great run there. That brings Charles Sumner to the fore as well, but Tristan Callahan now currently the only truck on the bottom side on the track, as Charles Sumner now tucked in behind the 312 as well. And wow, Charles Sumner is just going to smoke right by. He's not going to quite clear Austin Hunter as they come off the corner, but Austin Hunter's been stuck there on the high side most of this restart, and it's not going well for him.
We got Sumner now going to try the inside once again. And don't look now with the 911 and John LaBaff looking to stick his nose in that battle as well.
Turns out the battling loses you time. Who would have guessed? But Charles Sumner thought he would have an opportunity to pass the 912, but now he's getting passed around the outside by John LaBaff, who gets a little bit into the gray, can't quite clear the speed. He's going to have to back it off, try to get a good launch off of 3 and 4, and maybe make the pass into 1 and 2. Not quite enough momentum.
So we now close into 10 laps to go, Adam. It's still Bradley Holly out in front, but his advantage has shrunk to under 1 second as we have this battle still going on for the 2nd position with Adam Zemke looking to close in on Sink.
Yeah, Zemke was right on Sink's rear bumper a couple of laps ago, but it looks like he's had to back off a little bit. But Thomas Sink actually closing the gap to Bradley Holly by about 2/10 since it was at its widest gap when Daniel Knight hit the outside wall. So Sink is trying to claw his way back up there, and Bradley's going to have to start to deal with lap traffic now. We're going to head back to John Adams and Brett Adams and John LaBaff here, as LaBaff trying to go around the outside here. Brett Adams on the inside, and Brett's going to be able to get that pass done.
Yeah, very clinical looking pass to get the 23 of Adams up into the top 10.
And Tristan Callahan's trying to make a pass right now on Daniel Knight. Daniel's tires are totally gone at this point. Daniel in the 17, Tristan in the 77. Tristan Callahan gets that move done as they go on to the front stretch. Tristan Callahan's truck looking a little bit better than Daniel Knight's after that major contact with the outside wall for Daniel.
Yeah, an unfortunate end of the season for Daniel Knight as he's limping along in that 7th position now.
So we are just entering under 4 minutes to go, and it's going to be close on time as to whether or not they make it to the final lap. We'll keep our eyes on that. Currently, our predictions are that they will make it to the final lap here. Another cloud comes down to shade the track. That's definitely going to help improve the lap times of these drivers. Look at this, Tristan Callahan closing up the back of Paul Johnson, who's closing up the back of Evan Chadley. Tristan can get as high as 4th by the end of this race. That's going to be tight for sure.
Well, even if he doesn't make it that high up, Tristan Callahan can definitely hang his hat on this run. After that incident on the opening lap that was not really of his own doing, things have really came around for him, and he's shown very impressive speed here.
It's a very intense cloud that's dropped down onto the track. It's dropped the track temperature by 2 degrees already, and we've seen this happen in practice as well. The track temperature continued to drop then as well. So, wow, that was a very deep entry for Paul Johnson into 1 and 2. Tristan thinks he might be able to take advantage of it. Paul's able to get that thing bowed up and exit the corner well. So, as they cross the line this time, Bradley Holly will go to 5 laps to go. This time by. It's assuming we make it to the end of this battle between Tristan Callahan and Paul Johnson continues to entertain. 5 laps to go this time by.
Callahan is just all over the back bumper of that 14 machine.
That 14 is really struggling through 1 and 2 as he exits the corner. Now he gets a decent jump, but the 77 looking very hungry on the back end of his truck as well. Want to give you an update on Colton Lane. He started off in the 17th position on this restart. He's now made his way up to 11th behind Brett Adams. He might even have an opportunity to get up into the top 10 by the time he finishes this race. Coming to 4 to go this time.
And that's 4th, 5th, and 6th right there, front and center on your screen, as Brendan Shatley trying to hold off the charge from Paul Johnson, who's trying to hold off the charge from Tristan Callahan.
Just looks like these tires just get so spent. Oh, that was a mistake though from Paul Johnson. Tristan Callahan has got a run. He's going to look to the inside. Is he going to send it deep into the corner? Yes, he is, fairly deep, but he can't send it quite too deep because Paul Johnson sends it even deeper into the corner. He's going to be able to retain that position. Paul Johnson has got a very interesting understanding of this track, and it's working out for him.
Yeah, that was definitely an interesting interpretation of turns 3 and 4 at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
And here goes an interesting interpretation of 1 and 2 that gets him up in the gray. Tristan Callahan with a good opportunity to get the swap over here on the exit, but he can't quite get the power down, unfortunately. He's going to have to stay behind him. Man, when these tires go, they go, Chris.
Yeah, with how hot this track is, once the tires start to give up grip, I mean, you are definitely putting in a day's work to keep that truck under control.
This is the closest battle on the track between these two drivers. If you want to know what's going on up at the front, Bradley Hawley currently has a 1-second lead over Thomas Sink. That gap has grown as well with Adam Zemke falling back 1 second to Thomas Sink. So those 3 podium positions, unless a mistake is made, is sewn up. Whoa, Tristan Callahan getting very loose off of 1 and 2 there, unfortunately. But we need to go to Bradley Hawley because that man's about to take the white flag lap now, coming out of 3 and 4. Bradley Hawley has been the most consistent driver the entire season, with so many wins under his belt, so many good challenges that he's been able to fend off. Daniel Knight has given him a run for his money for sure, but that advantage on pit road that he has been the deciding factor this season. As he comes off of 1 and 2 yet again, his consistency has been excellent. Look at this, that battle for that 4th position still going very strong. The 77 trying to make this work. Unfortunately, nothing doing as he comes into 3 and 4. But Bradley Hawley, coming off of turn 4, will win here at Worldwide Raceway and will also win the championship of the PRL NASCAR Truck Series here on GSRC. What a season. Thomas Sink coming home in 2nd place. Adam Zemke in 3rd. A frustrated Daniel Knight's going to come home in 7th position. He had an opportunity possibly to take this win. Could never quite make it up to Bradley Hawley even on the restarts, unfortunately. But Bradley Hawley, a fantastic victory tonight. And a good victory in the season as well. That's going to take us to a very short break here on GSRC, but don't go anywhere. We'll have the unofficial results for you as well as driver interviews very shortly after this break. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series here on GSRC, sponsored by WEBB Hearing Centers. And today at Worldwide Technology Raceway, we had a very interesting race that ended up with Bradley Holly taking the win of the race and the championship, being followed by Thomas Sink, who fell to 1.4 seconds behind. Adam Zemke, another 1.5 behind Thomas Sink. And we have Brendan Chatley coming home in 4th position, with Paul Johnson holding off Tristan Callahan for 5th and 6th. Daniel Knight had an unfortunate moment exiting 1 and 2, got into the wall while battling for 2nd position and ends up in 7th spot, with Austin Hunter 8th, Charles Sumner in 9th, and Colton Lane rounding out your top 10.
Just outside of the top 10 was Brett Adams coming home 11th with John LaBath behind him. Nicholas Schwartz, Mark Kalin, Baron Hilton, and Doug Evans complete your lead lap runners, with Nicholas Hunter, Jose Medina, William Lee, and Adam Young completing the top 20. Then just a few non-finishers there. Brandon Walter in the 99, Adam Shane in the 83, and Matthew Aubrey completes the field.
And we have Bradley Holly to talk to, our race winner and championship winner this season. Bradley, a fantastic championship, a fantastic season you had, but it was not without contention. Talk to me about your season and also this race.
It was great. I enjoyed having all the competition from Daniel Thomas and Jared Mogard and everybody else that was involved in the championship. It's just every time we start a new season, I just focus on trying to be as consistent as possible.
And do you think that was what made the difference? Was it the consistency on track, or was it the consistency in pit lane that made the difference this season?
I think it was a combination of pretty much everything. With the first 5 races or 6 races, I had top 3s, and I had 1 race out of the top 10, I believe, and just practicing and doing everything else I needed to do just to be in contention. It was a tough one with the competition this season.
Absolutely, Bradley. And since this will be our last time until next season to talk to you, is there anybody you would like to thank for your season win, your championship win, and your race win this season?
I'd like to thank you guys for broadcasting us week in and week out. The Waterback guys for practicing with me and trying to help me figure out what strategies we need to do and whatnot. And our sponsors, I'd like to thank Aaron for sponsoring the season, the series, and PRL for putting on these great leagues.
All right. Well, thanks for talking to us, Bradley, and we look forward to seeing you next season when you try and go for the league-wide championship as well.
Thank you very much.
All right. That was Bradley Holly, our winner tonight, and Chris Phoebe has caught up with 2nd place in the race and 3rd place in the championship, Thomas Sink.
Well, Thomas, first off, congratulations on a really good season.
Thank you.
The truck looked sporty tonight. You were able to keep touch with Bradley for a good chunk of it, but did you decide to maybe save up for a run at the end that just didn't happen, or was Bradley just that fast tonight?
Brad was pretty fast. Yeah, it was just that last run before that yellow came out. I don't know why the yellow came out. I was just kind of sitting back, laying back, saving tires, setting them up, knowing that probably with 10 to go, I was going to try to make my move. But I mean, it sounded kind of negative, but another PRL race, we can't run, 20 laps without a green flag. Or yellow, I'm sorry.
Well, nonetheless, obviously a little frustrated, but
yeah,
you got to look back on this season and think you had a fast truck pretty much every week, and you got to think this was probably a pretty solid season for you.
Absolutely, it was better than average for me. I'm really proud and got I think it was my 10th win in PRL this season. So for the most part, it was a solid season for me and all my teammates.
All right, Thomas, anybody you want to thank that's helped to make this season possible for you?
WEBB Racing, all the guys there, Trading Pains, Paul 48 Designs, Stars and Stripes Realty, the Rescue guys, you guys, of course, Webb, and then my girlfriend at home.
Well, congratulations again on a good run, Thomas, and hopefully we'll be talking to you a lot more next season.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for everything you guys do.
That was Thomas Sink, our 2nd place finisher. And now we have Adam Zemke, who drove his way up to 3rd position after starting Wow, starting at 15th. Adam, how did you pull that off today?
I think I had a little luck on my side. I think I'm pretty good at these flat tracks. I did a pretty good job at Milwaukee, either earlier this season or last season. So coming into this race tonight, I kind of figured this was going to be close to kind of the same discipline, and I was just able to keep my tires under me, I think, and move my way up when we did get green flag runs.
And so, were you caught out by any of the cautions, or did they seem to go your way?
They definitely went my way because I didn't get wrapped up in any of them. A couple of them were very close, and I mean that could easily have been the end of my night, and it wasn't. So
is this one of the? Is this? Do you think that this was kind of a fluke, or are you expecting that this kind of performance is something you're looking forward to bringing into next season?
I mean, I'm always looking for finishes like this. I'm very happy to be up in third. This is pretty much a win for me. It's kind of a bummer because there's only 2 more guys in front of me, and I don't get these opportunities very often to get up and compete like that. So it's kind of a bummer. I feel like I was pushing a little bit, maybe too much at the end, and wound up making a few mistakes and losing some time. But it feels pretty good. I hope that in the future we can see runs like this.
Absolutely, Adam. And before we let you go, is there anyone you want to thank for your race finish today?
Yeah, I'd like to thank GSRC. You guys rock. Watch your races all the time. I'd like to thank PRL, PrecisionRacingLeague.com. If you want to sign up for these series, we got a new one coming up here in the future, and our signups are live right now if you want to get into this. And I think that's it.
All right, Adam. Well, thanks for talking to us, and congrats on a great 3rd place finish today.
Thank you, guys.
All right, that was Adam Zemke, and that's actually going to take us to the close of our broadcast for this season. We want to give a big thank you to the Precision Racing League for bringing us on for another season, and a big thank you to their sponsor, WEBB Hearing Centers, for making sure to host a great season. Make sure to visit them at the link in the description. And we also want to thank ButtKicker for sponsoring the entire league this season. We also want to thank the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts that are listed now here on your screen. As always, many thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our awesome music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the folks at GSRC that made this season happen. Joe and Don Pink, Dougie Beard, Kristen Challoner, Justin Prince, Peter Mackay, and of course my constant companions, Sean Ambrose and Chris Phoebe, for joining me for another exciting season of the Precision Racing League Truck Series here on the Global SimRacing Channel. If you want to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find us at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media that is down in the description. And if you'd like to support the channel, go check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storeenvy.com. If you want to see more racing action, hit that big red subscribe button as well so you don't miss a moment here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Now, news for next season, that's going to start up on September 23rd at 8:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We don't have an announced first track yet, but you definitely do not want to miss it, so be there on September 23rd. We'll be starting off the next season here with the PRL NASCAR Truck Series. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until then, we hope you've enjoyed joining us this season as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you, and we hope to see you back on our channel soon. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.